Hello there, my name is Dr. Wendy Benson, and I'm an industrial organizational psychologist and an assistant professor of psychology at Marshall University. And I'm creating this video to show you the power of giving a growth mindset lecture on the first day of class as part of your introduction. So I'm going to show you some results about the impact that a growth mindset lecture had on my own statistics students. And then I'll give you an example of what a growth mindset lecture could look like and how you can kind of weave in your own introductions and really show your humanity through giving this presentation and ultimately help students see challenges as a challenge and not as a threat. Help students get out of that mode of having them fail at something, make them think that they're a failure, or having them get a bad grade, making them think they're a bad student, right? So kind of cultivating this growth mindset where if you don't do something correctly, that's okay. That's why you're here. We're here to learn. Failure is the first attempt in learning. We all make mistakes, and our mistakes don't define us. They give us an opportunity to grow. Alrighty, so before we jump into what a growth mindset lecture can look like, I want to show you some results from my own research looking at the impact of a growth mindset lecture on students' attitudes and perceptions about statistics, which was the class they were in, and their performance and their withdrawal rates. So this was a quasi-experiment. One semester, I had my undergraduate intro stats students. They had a growth mindset lecture at the very first day of class, and then the following semester, they did not. And at the time, I was working at a 4-year open enrollment minority-serving institution in the Southwest. So here are the significant differences that I found immediately. So we gave the growth mindset lecture on the first day of class, and at the end of that week, we collected survey data. And what we found was that students who received the growth mindset lecture that I'm about to show you felt less insecure about their ability to do statistics, were feeling like they would probably enjoy statistics more, felt like they would have significantly less trouble understanding statistics, felt like statistics could be something that was quickly learned more than the students who didn't get the lecture, but it was still pretty low overall. They felt like statistics would be something they would use more than the other students who didn't get the growth mindset lecture. They also didn't think statistics were rare or irrelevant compared to the students who didn't get the growth mindset lecture. But if you look at these overall results and you're not just comparing the green, right, the students who got the growth mindset lecture, to the blue, the students who didn't, you'll see that overall students were feeling pretty insecure at week 1 and weren't really feeling like statistics was something that they could quickly learn. By the end of the semester, there were still some differences that were significant. So students who received the growth mindset lecture the first week of class liked statistics more, but they also thought it was more difficult. They thought there was more massive computations and it was more technical. So even though the students who got the growth mindset lecture tended to feel like statistics was more difficult, they liked it more. And they also felt like it was less not useful, or in other words, more useful than the students who didn't get that messaging about growth mindset on the first day of class. Also, it's important to look at performance. And so the students who got the growth mindset lecture did have marginally significantly higher grades. Their overall average was about an 83. But the students who didn't get the growth mindset lecture, their average was about a 77. So I think that's great, but it was not as statistically significant. The p-value wasn't less than 0.05 for that. So it was just not as reliable. However, the withdrawal rates blew my mind. I was so excited when I saw this. So statistics is a high withdrawal class. Some places treat it as kind of a weed out class where if students can't get through it, they're not meant to press on. That's not my philosophy, but that's kind of how it's treated sometimes. And so you can see among the students who got that growth mindset lecture, there was only a 4% withdrawal rate. Only 2 out of 52 students dropped out, or 2 out of 54, I guess what we started with. But among students that didn't get the growth mindset lecture, we had much significantly higher withdrawal rate with a 17% withdrawal rate. So that is incredible to me. Beyond performance, students stuck with it, right? They felt like it was more difficult, but they stuck with it and they liked it more, even at the end of the semester. So now here's just kind of a quick overview of what a growth mindset lecture could look like on the first day of class. So I usually start with some general study tips, and I will make these slides and the slide notes available to you, but just kind of giving them some realistic perspective on how to maximize the use of their time as they study, and kind of going into my own experience of learning this the hard way, right? Like, I was not a great student at first. This took a lot of time and a lot of pain and suffering to learn, and let me bestow this knowledge upon you, and hopefully you can use it without as much struggle. Then this is my favorite part of the activity. I go through and I show 4 different hypothetical college students. And then I write on the board the characteristics that they think those students have. So this first student here, college student A, you can see that they didn't have great outcomes. And a lot of times, a lot of students will say, like, lacked focus or not a good student or, sometimes they'll even go, they don't give up, right? Because they'll see that you've retook college exams. So sometimes it's not all negative with student A. Then college student B, right? Oh my goodness, this person's dishonest, right? They cheated in algebra. They lack focus. They are confused. They changed their major 6 times. They're probably not going to graduate. They were ignoring readings. They never reached out for help. And they say all kinds of negative things about college student B. Then we look at college student C. And they have these really positive, awesome outcomes. High GPA, honor society president. They use their resources. And then college student D, who worked as a teaching assistant, was a research manager, formed study groups, got a PhD. And of course, they say really great things about these 2 students. Sometimes my students will say maybe they were more privileged or they had a more supportive family, which I always love when we get into that and talk about those contextual differences among students, because growth mindset's great, but we all also have to recognize we all come to our situation with different factors at play that can advantage or disadvantage us. The big reveal, though, is that college student A and C are both the same person. They are my first course assistant that I ever had when I taught at Nevada State. And they love this part. College student B and D are both me. And so I admit to cheating. I admit to being desperate. I admit to not using my resources. And I also use this as a way to show them that, again, our past mistakes don't define us. Right? Just because I never went to office hours, just because I was cheating in the past, doesn't mean that that's what I did the whole time. I learned and I grew and I became better at being a college student. And they love this vulnerability, right? You're admitting that you're human, you're admitting that you've made mistakes, and then that kind of sets the tone for it being okay for them to make mistakes as well. But then you can also kind of work in like, hey, I cheated, I know what it's like, I'm not going to let you cheat, I'm going to collect my exams at the end of class after I show them in class. Then I love to show this video of Danny McCaskill. Danny McCaskill's great. He's a really awesome bicyclist. And at the end of the video, he shows a bunch of his bloopers, which I think is fantastic. So if you look up Danny McCaskill Gymnasium, and it's produced by Red Bull Bike, you'll see the video and you can show it in class. And so the first part of the video, he is so impressive. And then the end, it shows all the mistakes that he made. And I kind of talked to the students about Danny McCaskill and how he's broken hundreds of bones to get where he's at. But now he looks so sleek and so, he's a master at his craft, especially if you don't watch the blooper reel. Then I go into some of the past research about self-efficacy and how it's related to performance and how some of those contextual factors like feedback and encouragement and exposure can have an impact on those things. And so if you have my slide notes, you'll see a really detailed overview of the research that you see in visual form here. Then I show a lecture about growth mindset, and you can see it's called fixed mindset versus growth mindset. And this really breaks down the nitty-gritty of what is a growth mindset, what is a fixed mindset. And then I summarize it with a slide following that. So really, growth mindset, according to Carol Dweck, is the belief that intelligence is developed over time and the view that challenging work provides an opportunity to learn and grow. So you can see that cultivating that growth mindset helps you not be so resistant to change, helps you see challenges as an opportunity to grow and to develop. You're not as off-put by criticism. You don't see it as much as a threat. You see it more as an opportunity to learn and to develop and maybe be more grateful for constructive criticism. And you don't feel threatened by others' success, right? You see others as an inspiration because you know that you have the power to improve yourself as well. Then kind of getting into some of the research about the impact of growth mindset in education with this cute little brain here lifting weights, because it's important to emphasize to them that your brain's a muscle too. And sometimes it hurts to grow your muscles. So expect learning to be a little bit difficult and maybe painful at times, but it's worth the effort. Then getting into kind of tying it together with the self-efficacy and growth mindset literature and how that ties in to what we see here is that, growth mindset can really help improve your self-efficacy and help you really power through those struggles. Then I do a quick intervention with them in class where we set growth goals, which here I give them some buy-in on why that's an important thing to do. So we talk a little bit about SMART goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, yet ambitious, relevant, and time-based, and I show them how to set those goals. So they start by writing down a mini growth goal for themselves, thinking about the potential consequences of success or failure in terms of meeting that goal. Then they outline their strategies for meeting that goal, and I tell them to kind of track their progress. So I give them an example, right? Their big goal is to improve grades. So here are some specifics about that, right? They need to develop strategies to reduce test anxiety, to get a B, right? That's their measurable. Improving grades is going to help them enjoy college more. And here's the things they can start doing now. This should lead to more self-awareness about what's getting in the way. And then understanding that and powering through that will help you develop that growth mindset, which then ultimately leads to persistence and achievement. And then I've got my examples down there. And you can, of course, change these examples however you want. Then I have them try it. So we do kind of a think, pair, share in a way. So I have them think of that big goal. They write down 2 smart mini growth goals that would help them achieve it, right? Taking that big goal, breaking it down into small, manageable chunks, thinking about the consequences, and then picking one to focus on. So they do this on their own. And then they need to also outline a specific strategy for achieving that goal. Then they get into pairs. They talk about their goals. They kind of discuss and analyze if it's truly a SMART goal. And then they make adjustments as necessary. And then we share out with the entire class. And I get them to try to work together to try to share a better strategy for meeting their goal. And then we talk again with the entire group. And then I encourage them to actually try to follow the strategies and keep that diary. And then references are always a good thing, kind of modeling that we want to cite what we're, referencing, and then references at the end. All right. Well, I hope you're inspired to share this with your students early on in the semester, and also kind of weave in some of your own personal story into it so they can connect with you more.